what makes you unique. Oh, you're so awesome. And then financial history, profitability, and growth. And I know that the app, like for this year, submitting for 2010, it'll be 2009 financials. And when I submitted for 2009, it was my 2008 financials, and I showed a loss that year because we had expanded our business and built out a facility and, you know, invested this enormous amount. And so I was concerned about that, but I put that in there and showed what our potential growth was, you know, from the investment that we made. So they take all those things into consideration. And then employee practices, what benefits do you offer? Innovative strategies for recruiting, retaining, and rewarding your employees. Do you offer employee training? Do you encourage any activities to develop a positive work environment? I know that as a small business, I do not offer healthcare benefits because I can't afford to do it, but I do offer other things. So there's a lot of areas that I was really strong in, but in the areas that I was weaker in, I came up with creative alternatives to do something for beefing that up, and you know, that was enough for them to say, hey, you know, you deserve a blue ribbon. So I just want to encourage you guys not to feel like you're too small or you don't have things in order. I think that it's amazing when you sit down and start looking at this application, what criteria is available. And the applications are available through the Chamber of Commerce to see. Even if you're not going to apply for the award, it's a great way to sit down and take a look at your company and see where you are. Community involvement was one, customer relations, entrepreneurship, business planning. Listen to this question. What are some of the greatest obstacles or challenges that your business has faced this year? So, what are some challenges your business may face in the future? And what are your strategies to overcome those challenges? What are your strategies for future growth, and how does your business demonstrate leadership to other businesses in the community? I mean, you have to, it's like you have to sit down and think. It's, this application is really, it's very tedious and time consuming, but it's very, very good for your business. Anybody else have a comment?
Yeah, I guess when I was asked to apply, I kind of thought the same thing. I thought, I do not have a chance at this. Especially because just from the business aspect, I mean, I didn't really have a business. I'm a pharmacist. That's why, you know, if anybody asks me what I do, I say I'm a pharmacist because that's easier than being a business person or a restaurant manager or something. So when I started this process, it was daunting to me almost, and I thought, well, you know, I'll go ahead and do it because I said I would. I promised I'd do it. So I finished it out, and then when I got the email that I'd actually been awarded a blue ribbon, I almost fell off my chair because I was really shocked. And we won in 08 also, and in 09, so it's been fun, and I would not ever not keep applying because it's very worthwhile. We went to Washington and they had a reception for us. Had a wonderful trip to Washington, D.C. Congressman Sessions actually gave our group an after-hours tour of the Capitol from 9 p.m. until 11 p.m. Spent 2 hours with us traipsing through the Capitol in the middle of the night in jeans and tennis shoes. It was really fun to see the congressman in blue jeans and a pair of tennis shoes. And we chased after him for a couple hours. So that was very rewarding as well. Had a good time. So if anybody's asked to do it, I would definitely recommend. And I was in the last session with the guy about social networking, and one of the things he mentioned was become an expert in your field. And when I saw this blue ribbon thing, I thought, yeah, put that on your website. That makes you an expert in your field, in your business, and I think that's a great marketing tool.
One of the things that also happens with the application process is that you have to agree to pay for your own trip to Washington, D.C. So you might take that into consideration when you apply, because if you win, it's important for you to go to be there at the Small Business Summit, which surprisingly inexpensive flight to Washington. If you stay there in a hotel, there's the expense for that, and then also you have to pay for the summit. I think the chamber paid for us this year. The year before we had to pay, and the summit, it's a few $100s just to register for that, but
well worth it.
It was well worth it. It was amazing. And what we're doing today, right now, this is so exciting, is modeled after that Small Business Summit in Washington, D.C. We have a main speaker, and then we have breakout sessions to just help small business. So that's the exciting thing, that this whole thing was modeled after. this award.
Okay, we have 9 minutes. Do we have any questions for anybody on the panel?
I have a question. I know that you read part of it that the application says, what challenges did you face and how did you overcome them? I'm just curious how you guys handled that section. And I mean, it reminds me of the interview question, what are your weaknesses? Oh, I work too hard, and whatever. So there's no guile in any of you. So how did you handle that? Anyone?
Pharmacy is one of the most regulated businesses on the face of the earth. I mean, we have state boards looking out for us. We have insurance companies that we deal with all the time, not favorably a lot. So because we're so regulated, we have to deal with the legislative process. And I've become very involved in that in the last few years, so those are a lot of my challenges, is dealing with all the regulation and the legislative issues. So we've made it a point to become very involved in business-wise and profession-wise in pharmacy, and that was every 2 years, the State Pharmacy Association goes to Austin. We have a lobby day. My wife and I have been to Austin every 2 years for a while. We go and have appointments with our representative and our senator and talk about our professional initiatives and business-wise too. So that's part of what I've done, is to try to get a handle on those regulatory issues that would work to my benefit.
And Brian, do you have a handle on the swine flu?
No.
Yeah.
Actually, that's another one of those crazy things, regulatory things. I keep applying to be able to order the H1N1 vaccine because it's not going through normal channels. It's going to be dished out by the government, and it's crazy. So I don't know. Regular flu vaccine, yeah, I do have that. We're good. The H1N1, I'm not sure.
Go ahead, Tom.
Just basically read our response to that question. The downturn of the economy in the 1980s with the savings and loan debacle was a huge obstacle for a new small business. We refocused our effort on small local jobs that allowed us to survive. We built a solid customer base that allowed us to be successful in good times and bad. We changed our business model from a private sector source of business to a public sector. This has allowed us to stabilize our cash and do not have the highs and lows in our volume as well as cash flow. So it can be other things than just, hey, I work too hard.
The biggest challenge that we faced was economic downturn, and our solution to that, because we do a lot of weddings, and now all of a sudden the people who were spending $10,000 on a wedding aren't spending $10,000 on a wedding now. So how do we deal with that? Well, we really started focusing on marketing ourselves as an alternative to economic downturn, where you can still have this fabulous event without paying this huge price that you would have paid in the past. And that strategy was really, something, a lot of brides that might have been paying a certain amount of money, now maybe they're now just going to the justice of the peace and just dropped off. And then the people who are paying more are going to be paying less. So you have to really know who your market is and start targeting those people and giving them incentives to book with you, and say, hey, this is not, you can still have this fabulous event. And so that's kind of the way we've done it. I thought, last year we started seeing the beginnings of the trickle-down effect, but this year we've really, really felt it, especially over the summer. So now, what we're having to do is revisit our company, see where we can cut, see where we can lean down. It's amazing. This is the essence of capitalism. This is why the government does not need to get involved. I'm going to get on my soapbox. But in this kind of time, the people who survive are the ones who learn how to do things differently, trim what can be trimmed, redo this system, put this in place, buy these things differently. And it's amazing that we can survive some of the things we survive, because it seems like you're not going to make it. And then what happens is the market flushes out the people, the strong survive. It's just like, living in Africa. And the weak go away, and then a more strong, stable base of companies come into play. And